Today's episode, I have Erica Shatzer to talk about the impact concessions are having on your self-storage business.
So the big question is this: how are those in the self-storage industry like us going to be successful in today's market? That's the question, and this show will give you the answers. My name is Jim Ross, and welcome to the Self-Storage Show. Hi everyone, this is Jim Ross from the Self-Storage Show. On this episode of a Storage Spotlight, I got Erica Shatzer on the line. How's it going?
It's going well. Thanks, Jim.
Good. So you're a freelance writer and editor with Mini Storage Messenger, right?
Yes.
Sweet.
Well, Minico Publishing
Or a minute ago. Okay.
Publications.
Yeah,
Yep.
it all sounds the same to me. I'm just looking at the actual magazine. Yeah, tell me, before we kind of get into your article, that's why I kind of reached out to you. It's about an article that you wrote. I kind of want to know a little bit more about you. How'd you even get involved in the storage industry here?
Well, I started 11 years ago with Minico Publishing as the circulation coordinator. So I was handling the orders and magazine subscriptions, and um, with a I have a bachelor's degree in journalism, and when the associate editor announced that she was leaving for another opportunity, I approached Poppy Behrens, the public. Well, she was then the editor, but
Yeah.
now the publisher, about if I could apply for the position, and that's what happened.
Nice.
And so I've been with the industry ever since.
That you do you write frequent articles in the magazines? Like how often do you get published?
Um, Well, I have a monthly column
Oh,
called Look Who's Talking, and that's in the Mini Storage Messenger magazine. I also do the news for Messenger as well as Self Storage Canada and Self Storage Now. And I write other articles as requested for all of the different magazines, and I edit all of our publications. So, yeah,
so in other words,
so
you're
I get
very
published on
so,
a monthly basis.
so you're very bored. I can take it, huh? You're not busy at all.
No, not at all.
Oh, that's crazy. That's good. Well, that's awesome. That's why I like having the magazines and reading all the articles because quite frankly, it kind of gives me ideas too when I come to the podcast and things like that of things to talk about. But I read your article about let's in the latest issue, let's make a deal and cost of concessions. I get that question
Yes.
constantly from I do third party management and consulting and that kind of stuff. And I get that
Uh-huh.
all the time from owners and people like that. Like, I can't give it away and I'm just giving away money and things like that. So I'm always kind of having to play that angle of, well, you kind of have to. So I was reading the article. I'm like, all right, you kind of hit all the points I wanted to to talk about, especially when I'm trying to tell owners, that it's a marketing tactic, really. So anyway, I'd like to kind
Yes.
of just start the ball, kind of tell us a little bit about the article, and I'll kind of jump in.
So the article basically goes over why concessions are uh, considered a necessary evil. Um, you have to entice people um, to choose your facility over the competition and to remain competitive in a market, especially if it's a market where there are large operators or real estate investment trusts present in the market. The competition is fierce. So offering concessions is pretty much, from what everyone in the industry that I interviewed for the article believes, um, it's it's a necessary part of the deal. And overall, I mean, every market is very specific and different. Um, but if you're in a market where competition is very high, and they are offering discounts and concessions, it almost becomes necessary in order to get part of the market share. And they're just basically saying that it's like a herd mentality.
Yeah.
And whether or not you want to offer them is sort of irrelevant. Nobody really wants to, but a customer is better than no customer. So,
Yeah.
and then,
It was kind of like with the customers. It's almost expected that what you're moving special. Because like I said, everyone else is kind of doing it, so it's almost expected that you're gonna have something for them.
yeah, yeah, it is. And it's unfortunate, but that's kind of the way of the world, and it's how a lot of other industries work as well. I mean, in the article I talk a little bit, just because it was right after the Christmas holiday season,
Yeah.
about how retail establishments offer discounts to move product, and it's sort of the same in the self-storage industry. And there are different ways and different kinds of concessions you can use. And the article touches a little bit on that and gives some ideas for some different concessions that are popular and or might be effective. But really, it just comes down to, when you think of the length of stay of the tenant, most concessions are worth it because they usually tend to stay longer than they anticipated. And so, giving away, for example, the first month free, you're going to recoup those costs eventually.
Oh yeah.
If they end up staying 10 months, that's income that you otherwise wouldn't have had, or maybe not for as long.
I do a thing in my Facebook group. I do this 30-day challenge kind of a thing, and every day we have a new lesson that we go through. And I think it's like the second or third day, but right at the very beginning, I have all my clients and the participants find out what their lifetime value of a customer is. I mean, that's what we're talking about, is what the kind of average length of stay versus what your average unit price is, and that's like your lifetime value. And so many had never done that before. They're like, what now? And so we kind of walk through that process of how to find that figure, because it's true. Once you have that figure in mind, I had people that were, I always give examples of, flat out, it's $100 for an average price for a unit, and the average length of stay is 12 months. Okay, well, there's $1,200 every time that phone rings, or it's a rental. Well, that's what you can average. You're going to be getting, from that rental. And I had some clients going like, holy crap, mine's like $3,800 and mine's $2,000, and they had no idea. And once you see what that figure is, well, then you're like, okay, is it worth giving a month free to get that on the back end? And it just makes that decision so much easier. So I'm totally on board with that when we know what your lifetime customer value is, because it helps making that concession and that movement special decision a lot easier.
Definitely. I mean, from what I've gathered in the people who I spoke with for this particular article, it really, you have to look at that in order to know whether or not it's worth the cost. With any form of advertising or marketing,
oh yeah,
you have to look at that. And if it's costing you more, I mean, it's just common sense. If it's costing you more to acquire the customer than the customer pays in their time at your facility, obviously it's not worth it. So it's pretty basic business.
And some of those concessions, kind of giving some examples. I was reading Noah Springer from Extra Space, and of course those guys, I mean, they're probably trying everything kind of special under the sun, to see what would work, and probably what they can give away for the least amount of money to get the most bang for the buck to get the rental still. And kind of common sense, what I thought, but I was reading the article here. He talked about it. Free still the key word, a free month. And that's kind of that's the kind of the go-to thing. And kind of like with Public, they
Yeah.
do their dollar movement specials, which is a free month kind of a thing. It's free goes a long way when you're able to kind of dangle that in some way, shape, or form for a concession. Half off 2 months or 1 month free or whatever, but you're still dangling that free somehow to get that rental. That goes a long way if you're able to put that into a special. And like I said, it's kind of almost expected now in many markets. You gotta compete to be able to put yourself in the throw your hat in the ring to even get considered to get the rental.
Yeah, I really recommend, I guess my advice would be to think about when you're shopping, what entices you. Um, I mentioned in the article a little bit, just briefly, about Black Friday and
Yeah.
those doorbuster deals. I mean, there's a strategy to that. And when you think about when you're out shopping or looking for something that you need to purchase, what kind of deals really make you stop and think, okay, I'm going to buy this one from this place? Because you can kind of take that same sort of deal and apply it to self-storage. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you think of buy one, get one, okay, so the first month, buy 2 months or pay for 2 months rent, get a third month free. You could do something along those lines and be a little bit more creative if you want, to try something different. But I don't know, just I think whatever happens in the retail world, you can kind of, apply it to self storage in a way.
Yep. Oh, it's we're a retail business, just like other ones, yeah. So you can kind of see what their specials are, and it comes down to marketing. That's really the bottom line. It's marketing. So you kind of start becoming a student of marketing and seeing what other people are doing in other industries. Now you can kind of apply that to your own business strategy. Yeah, and there you go. But again, it's knowing your market. You look at who else is doing
Yeah.
what's. And then, again, I always say just because someone else works in another state and maybe your friend in another state's doing this, I don't care. Look at what your market is doing and what you're able to offer, because that's kind of the rules you have to play by. Is what's going on currently in your little 3 mile market generally.
Yeah. And I think it was I'm pretty sure it was Ken Nitzberg in the article who said
Yeah.
about, like, if everybody in your area, he gives a car lot example, is offering 20% off the sticker price of a vehicle except for one, well, where do you think people are going to go? Mm,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to go to the one that's not offering a concession if a dozen others are. I mean, it's not likely.
Yep. Nope. It's human nature, of course. And then again, I kind of started this off with by saying I have this conversation with owners a lot because they'll just say, "Well, man, I'm giving it away." And you've mentioned this a few times in the article sprinkled throughout that, man, a rented unit is bringing a lot more money than a vacant unit. So
Yes,
it's as
exactly.
simple as
That's
that.
what a full facility makes more money than an empty one every day, because without your customers, you don't have a business, you don't have an income.
Yep,
So,
it's just a cost of acquisition of a customer, as far as I'm concerned. So, I can argue with you once you get on a certain on a certain size code, then you can start scaling it back and maybe only offer it on a certain size because you're 90% full. You don't have to offer a concession on something like that, but
yeah,
that kind of changes site by site. But again, I'll always be the same kind of mentality as man, a full unit's a lot better than an empty unit for for making money. As simple as that sounds, that's the truth.
yes, definitely is.
Well, where do people, if kind of speak on this article a little bit, and I mean, there's definitely a lot more going on in these in the magazines here. Where do people go if they want to subscribe to the magazines that you guys have?
You can visit www.ministoragemessenger.com. That's our main page where all of our publications are available for purchase on that website. And um, everyone there is very willing to help anyone who has questions. The phone number is on the website as well if you'd rather call to make an order.
Perfect. Good. So I've read these for years and years now. So yeah, anyone that's out there wants to just again, it's nice to have at the site. That's one thing you get. The podcast, or you go online, look at a website. I don't know. I still like a physical, hold in my hand magazine. I like looking through it that way. So yeah, definitely go and check it out.
I keep every issue to use as a reference.
Do you?
So,
I can't imagine.
Yes.
Can't imagine what your bookshelf looks like.
It's full.
I bet. Well, good. Thanks for taking the time and talking a little about this, and I'll keep my eyes open for your next article. We'll have you back.
Great. Thank you so much, Jim. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks for supporting the show. I want to let you know that we've just opened up our brand new free private Facebook group. There I'll be having some extra special content not found anywhere else. If you really want your facility to be a success in today's market, then this is going to be the place for you. You can request to join us at selfstoragecommunity.com or search for Self Storage Domination Community on Facebook.